Well, did Twitter censor conservative voices discussing the Hunter Biden laptop story on their platform? According to GOP House members, yes. And today, lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee demanded answers from employees.
It appears to me that you failed at your jobs. You were entrusted with the highest level of power at Twitter, but when you were faced with the New York Post story, instead of allowing people to judge the information for themselves, you rushed to find a reason why the American people shouldn't see it. In a matter of hours, you were deciding on the truth of a story that spans years and dozens of complex international transactions. You did this because you were terrified of Joe Biden not winning the election in 2020. That's what it appeared.
Democratic members of the committee claimed Republicans were spewing misinformation to favor President Trump.
Republicans are on a taxpayer-funded expedition to attack their political rivals, and they're feeding the flames of conspiracy in the process. With the release of the so-called Twitter files, Donald Trump has seized the moment to further his own conspiracies about the 2020 election.
Jake Denton is a research associate in the Tech Policy Center at the Heritage Foundation, and he joins us now to discuss. Hi, Jake. Great to have you with us this evening. So what were your big takeaways from today's hearing?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that we basically just rehashed what we already know. We went through essentially a debrief of the Twitter files, and we essentially relitigated the Hunter Biden laptop storyline, whether or not it was censored. But we never really got into the granular details of the censorship apparatus. We didn't get really into the weeds about, who's calling the shots in terms of, the censorship there at Twitter and their relationship with our own government. The closest we got was a question from Congressman Gosar that tried to dive into the disappearing messages aspect. In the Twitter files, they revealed that Signal, a disappearing messaging app that basically makes communication subpoena-proof, was used to communicate in terms of content moderation policies, and we just never really got into it. And so at the end of the day, this was a good opportunity to bring this to the forefront of our attention again, but we just really didn't get anything productive from this.
Yeah, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez said Republicans are weaponizing the Oversight Committee. Today, she also called the hearing a waste of time and public resources. Jake, your reaction to that?
I wouldn't say that it was a waste of time, and that, it's certainly bringing the issue to the forefront of the public's mind. And, this will produce all sorts of, good news bits that will, make people understand the extent to which censorship was occurring on the platform. But at the end of the day, we need to get into the technical aspects of what occurred here to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And so it's not a waste of time, and it's not a waste of resources. We just need to retailor these questions for, the next hearing to ensure that we actually get answers so that we can move forward and prevent, the American people's freedom of speech from being infringed upon.
Yeah, what questions would you like answered from some of these top brass at Twitter?
Well, I really want to understand in greater detail, greater than what we got from the Twitter files, the relationship between Twitter employees and the federal government, specifically the agency to, Twitter relationships, that whether that be the FBI, whether that be the Department of State, right? We had the Election Integrity Partnership kind of burst onto the scene here in around September, October as a known entity that was being funded by the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State for the purpose of content moderation. That's an outsourcing of, essentially policing the First Amendment of the American people. And we didn't touch on it once in this entire hearing. And that's just a major missed opportunity. And so as we look forward to kind of, the future oversight hearing schedule, we need to get into the weeds on the relationships, how they were established, who were the people that were calling the shots and who were the victims. We saw the Excel spreadsheets on the Twitter files of, just ordinary Americans who were deplatformed by request of the FBI. That needs to be answered for.
Jake, you talk about getting into the weeds, and these lawmakers have hearing after hearing, day after day. Do you think they will get into the weeds on this topic, or will this kind of be passed over, when the next thing comes along?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the lawmakers here have to choose what they want these committee hearings to be, whether they be campaign exercises where they get up and message firmly on big tech and, kind of give a stump speech, or if they want to actually produce results for the American people. And so if they want to produce those results, they need to get the technical questions, the questions of execution and the processes that were used to kind of develop the censorship umbrella So it's really up to the lawmakers. All the resources are available for them to have a pool of questions that will bring the truth forward. And so they ultimately just have to choose here.
All right, Jake Denton of the Heritage Foundation, great to get your insights tonight. Thank you so much, Jake.
Thanks for having me.